Hey amigos, today's episode has been brought to you by my very own video on English pronunciation. You can watch this short video when you visit englishmadesimple.net/speak. The video is only about 20 minutes long and you will learn about the phonetic alphabet and why it is important to know it when you're learning English, especially when you want to practice speaking. Alrighty, let's play some music. Welcome again to the English Made Simple show. You're listening to the episode number 209, number 209, número 209. My name is Milena and I'm your amazing host here at englishmadesimple.net, englishmadesimple.net. And today, amigos y amigas, I want to dive straight into today's episode. Today we're going to find out what EMS listeners, what you guys struggle with the most when it comes to English pronunciation. So I have emailed some of you who are on my email list, who receive emails from me, and I asked you guys one question. I think that was last month. I asked you one question. What do you struggle with the most? What is the most difficult thing for you when you're trying to speak in English? When you're trying to pronounce words in English, when you're trying to speak, okay? And I've noticed there is a common theme to the answers that I got from quite a few listeners. And that's what I would like to share with you today. And also later in the episode, I would also like to give you my advice. I'll share like 3 tips to how we can overcome the one problem that people struggle with the most. So listen up, amigos y amigas. Listen up, more coming soon on that. Just so you know, the episode topic for this month and also for the month, for the next month, is all about English pronunciation. I want to make English pronunciation simple for you all. And I'll give you a sneak peek at what you need to know when it comes to pronunciation, what you need to be aware of. And I mention, especially I talk about the International Phonetic Alphabet. And I also covered that International Phonetic Alphabet. I covered it in the previous episode. If you are new to the show, please check out the last episode number 208, and you can go back and listen to that one to learn a little bit more about the International Phonetic Alphabet if you want to, okay? But I think you should as well, okay? So before further ado, let's start. Let's begin. Let me check my notes quickly. For this month's topic of pronunciation, I really want to go back to the basics of English pronunciation, okay? Back to basics. And I want us to focus on the sound and phonetic alphabet for this month. Some of you might be thinking, my pronunciation is pretty good. I don't need this, Milena. You might think you're good in this pronunciation department. However, have you tried reading an article in English, but reading it aloud, reading it out loud? Try it, and then let me know how you feel about English pronunciation. And if you are happy with how it sounds, then awesome, good on ya. But what would actually work best is if you also record yourself while reading it out loud, while reading something in English out loud. And that would be a really good test for you to test your own pronunciation and see if you can really understand yourself. You can listen to yourself, play it back and listen to yourself, and see if you can understand yourself. This is how the other people would hear you when you're trying to speak in English. So it's a good test just for your own sake, just to practice for yourself. Now, back to the results of my quick survey I talked about earlier. I said to you guys, okay, so the responses I got were quite interesting. There's a mix of responses. Besides the obvious pronunciation problems that people might have, such as the unusual English sounds, which we don't have in our own languages, okay? The sounds I'm talking about are, the combination of TH, because these two letters produce two different sounds. It can be a soft th or a hard the, sound. And also because it is not a common sound in other languages, in our languages, so it's a bit difficult for us to learn this particular sound. So we all find it difficult to pronounce when we start learning English in the beginning. And it's understandable. And I think there is also another sound, something between a and e, So the sound is like e, and that is unique to English. And this sound appears almost everywhere in English, believe it or not. Anyhow, pronouncing the vowels or regular verbs was also something that people struggled with. And I'm sure that even the irregular verbs would be equally hard to pronounce because they have some weird spelling, those irregular verbs. So as I was saying, besides the obvious letters and complex sounds in English, what I found that people struggle with the most was more of a, how could I describe it? More of an emotional thing, More of an emotional thing. It's to do with feelings. For example, I'm going to give you some new words here, amigos y amigas, so listen up carefully. There are strong feelings of self-doubt. Some people were self-conscious of their pronunciation. People had strong feelings of feeling embarrassed or awkward when speaking in English because it's not their first language. There were strong feelings of discomfort, feeling uncomfortable because you're completely out of your comfort zone when you're trying to speak in another language, because you don't do that every day, right? Feelings of discomfort, as I said, or feelings of frustration. People were feeling frustrated at times when speaking, feeling ashamed because you're not certain if you're pronouncing the words correctly. I know how this feels. I know it because I had my fair share of embarrassing moments in the early days of learning English. That was like 100 years ago, a long time ago. I know exactly what you guys are going through and what you're feeling right now. And this is how I felt when I first tried to speak Spanish in Chile, when I lived in Chile. That was funny. My husband keeps reminding me about those times. And yeah, he likes to bring it up from time to time to tease me and make fun of me, which is fine. I do the same to him. That's how we communicate with each other. Anyhow, back to English learning. Is there any way around these feelings? Can we fix these feelings? Feeling embarrassed? How can you not feel embarrassed at times when you try to speak in English, in a language that is not your first language? Right, but first, what does the word embarrassment mean? Maybe some of you don't know it. Maybe some of you don't know what I am talking about here. Let me bring back Weon Inteligente to the mix. According to Weon Inteligente, or the online dictionary, the word embarrassment is a noun and it means to feel shame or to feel awkward about something that you said or did. Maybe you did something embarrassing. So let's think of it as the opposite of feeling embarrassed is feeling confident. So let's look at it that way. The opposite of feeling embarrassed is feeling confident. I felt embarrassed when I used the word embarrassed when speaking to my Spanish friends, and I'm going to tell you why, I felt really embarrassed. And this makes a funny story, so I'm going to tell you my story of how I felt embarrassed when I was speaking to my Spanish friends in Spanish. And it will also be sort of an example of what I mean when someone feels embarrassed. You'll get a better idea of what I mean. So, my Spanish friend Anna told me that she went out on a date with this guy she liked. She met him for a drink. But as she was taking her drink and being her clumsy self, she somehow managed to spill the drink all over this guy's shirt. So I asked her, "Oh no, that sucks. Were you embarrassed in that moment when you spilled the drink?" And she looked at me weird and she wondered why I used the word embarrassed. It sounds a lot like the Spanish word for pregnant. In Spanish, the word pregnant is embarazada, which sounds a lot like the word embarrassed, and they have no similarities at all. So now I was embarrassed for using the word embarrassed, okay? Now you can see my embarrassment right there. Okay, hopefully that was clear. So that was kind of like my long-winded example, an explanation of how someone can feel embarrassed. This is for those of you who haven't heard this word before. You can just imagine this scenario. So when you feel embarrassed, you just you start to blush, your face becomes red, or your cheeks become red. Anyway, I have a confession to make. I can never spell this word embarrassed. I always rely on the Microsoft Word spell checker to do it for me. And I forget that there are two letters, R and S, double S. So double R and double S in this word. Just to confuse everybody. Alright, so what should you do to feel less embarrassed? Here are my 3 tips. Well, number 1, practice speaking in English with a friend. Even if it's broken English, it's fine. The important thing is to speak it out loud with someone, so you get used to speaking it out loud. This will help you build confidence. Number 2, find an article or a paragraph, just a short paragraph in English, and read it out loud. And what I would also encourage you to do is also to record yourself using your phone. You can quickly record yourself on your phone. Just try to record yourself so you can hear yourself, and when you play it back, so you know how you sound. Can you understand yourself? Try to see how you sound and see if you can understand yourself. And number 3, keep practicing as often times as you can. There's an English saying that goes something like this: practice makes perfect. Cool bananas. Now, I'm sure some of you listening are nodding your heads and saying, that sounds real nice, Milena. Muy interesante, muy interesante. And then you guys forget everything what I said, right? Maybe not. Okay, amigos y amigas, if you need a little bit of motivation, you can try to watch the video that I created just for you, where I talk about English pronunciation and why it's hard for some people to learn English and why for some it comes naturally. And I prepared all this in preparation to my new audio masterclass that's coming up very soon. I am finalizing the minor details for the masterclass, and then I will tell you all about it. In the meantime, have you ever felt embarrassed when you were speaking in English with someone? We know when we feel embarrassed while speaking because we speak like this, in low volume. It happens to me, feeling shy and embarrassed. I speak in a low volume like this. Alrighty, so that's about it for today, amigos y amigas. We've got one more episode before the end of the year, before the end of 2018. Wow, how the time flies. I guess this would be a great time to think about your goals for next year. If you are taking a break during the holidays, because it's holiday time around this time, especially in Australia it is. Be safe, and most importantly, take a break from work, spend time with friends and family, and eat lots of cake. Eat lots of food. If you don't like cake, just eat. Okay. Just another thing I wanted to add: if you have plans to travel and study English in Australia next year, but you don't know how to get there or what to do, then please go to englishmadesimple.net/study to get in touch with the team at Tour Studies. They will help you organize the visa, accommodation, and insurance, so you can come here to learn English and have a little bit of fun in Australia. Okay, and the link for that was englishmadesimple.net/study. Thanks again for joining me today, amigos y amigas. Hope you have a fun week ahead. You've been an amazing audience as always, and you've been jamming with Milena from English Made Simple. Have an awesome rest of the week. Until next time, Hasta la próxima!